This is the advanced palette for our winter classes this year. We've made a few changes to our original palette that we use for these advanced and master classes. We've added several colors. The colors the way I determine the colors on a new palette is I do a color mixing chart of all the colors I'm considering this way and this way. And then I will go through and look at the chart carefully and see if I have a nice variety of values and temperatures and different hues, and if I have darks and neutrals and lights and warm and cool of the major primaries. So this actually has turned out to be quite a nice palette. The colors I chose for this are here. The only one I eliminated from this palette was the sap green because I felt like it's such an easy color to mix, and I wanted to limit the number of paints on this palette to 12. So I eliminated the sap green. It's a nice convenience color, but it's very easy to make it yourself. I usually make it with the New Gamboge and ultramarine blue, or any variation of a yellow and a blue will give you some type of a green. So I eliminated that. So the colors we have on the palette are Transparent Pyrrole Orange, and that is by Core, and that is a new addition to our palette. Payne's Gray has always been on our palette. Lemon Yellow, New Gamboge by Daniel Smith is our warm yellow. Lemon Yellow is our cool yellow. I added Phthalo Green this time just so that we can practice making greens with Phthalo Green. I don't use it by itself, but it's a wonderful mixing color. Phthalo Blue is always on our palette. Cerulean Blue, I use Cerulean Blue Chromium by Daniel Smith, but any cerulean will work. Ultramarine Blue Deep by Sennelier, but any ultramarine or French ultramarine will work. I've added a mixed color to the palette just for convenience sake, and it's a combination of ultramarine blue and quinacridone magenta. And you can see we get some lovely mixes with that. Quinacridone Magenta is new on the palette. Quinacridone Rose has always been on our palette. This one is by M. Graham, but any pinky red will work. Pyrrole Red is always on our palette. It's our warm red. Burnt Sienna is always on our palette as our neutral warm. But you can see the mixtures we can get from these colors. We get wonderful darks, neutrals, lights, greens, and turquoise. I didn't put turquoise on the palette because it's such an easy color to mix and to make. You can see all these turquoise colors here. The lovely violets that we can get, so we didn't need to add a lot of violets to our palette. This one is just for convenience. The Murray Violet is just for convenience. Wonderful earth tones and mixes with the Burnt Siennas and the Payne's Gray. You get a lot of muted combinations in colors. So I think we're going to find this to be quite an acceptable palette for this season. And it's good to have these colors on your palette anyway. These aren't the only colors you can use on a palette, but these are just the ones I want everybody to have as a basic palette. So I hope you found this helpful. I suggest that when you get these colors, you do your own mixing chart, just so that you can see what you can get from using these different combinations of colors. So there you go.